everyone. Thank you for being here this Sunday. Welcome to our interview with the Masters. Today we have Patrick Ballesteros. Patrick,
Hello, hello.
Patrick teaches the
Sorry,
dynamics.
didn't mean to.
It's all good.
Sorry about
Patrick
that.
teaches
I
the
got it. I got
dynamics.
excited.
He teaches the dynamic sketching class. This is a great class to build confidence with drawing on all levels, foundation, beginning, advanced. I myself have taken these dynamic sketching and improved so much, not only in technique, but just the understanding of the world around us. I highly recommend this class because it's one of the few classes that gets you out of your computer, of your little office space. You go outside and draw and observe. And that's probably one of the best things you can do as an artist. And yeah, Patrick's a great teacher. He'll definitely help you with the struggles of being an artist. And so please ask him questions. He's got great insight on the realities of being an artist. Questions are anytime. It's open forum, so feel free to ask anytime. I will relay them to Patrick as they come in. And yeah, without further ado, Patrick.
Thank you. Wow, it's like I paid you for that intro. That's awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. So am I sharing now? Just making sure.
Yeah, I can see your...
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Patrick. For those that aren't familiar with my work or anything, I just have my website up here. It's just my first and last name.com. So if you just want to cruise through that, by all means, go ahead. And then I will show you some other work, not just on my website, but other things that I've been working on, and maybe even some past portfolios to show you kind of my struggles, my early journey through this world that we call the art journey. Anytime you have questions, as John said, Jonathan said, do you call you John or Jonathan or both?
Both. It's all good, man. Whatever.
Okay, I'm just making sure. I'm just like John. He's like, man, that's not my name. My name's Jonathan. Cool. Like, sorry, my bad.
No. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
I'm very conscious about that. So yeah, I totally forgot where I was going with this. But please ask questions, and I'll just ask Jonathan if you could just tell me the person's name, I guess, if you remember, so I can just address them. It feels nicer to do that.
Okay.
If that's cool. A lot of times when I do these webinars, I will sketch a little bit, so you're just not looking at a blank screen. But first and foremost, if there's anything that you do want to see kind of sketched out, or a topic that you just want me to run with, let me know, and I could do that. Because this is pretty open. I have a couple things that I do want to talk about. But of course, if there's something specific that you had a burning question about, please ask away.
Sounds good.
So to start off, to let you know, I've been teaching, I don't forget how long I've been teaching for. Since I would say about 2005, I was teaching in some capacity or form, either after-school programs for high school. I think that was some of my first teaching years. And then moving from there to college level, and then from there to more professional pro level, to where I'm at right now. I teach at two places mainly, online for CGMA, and then I also teach at a physical school called the Concept Design Academy. Hopefully some of you have heard of that. That is in Pasadena, California, and that's where I've been taking classes and teaching for quite a few years now, which has been a lot of fun. So some of you may be asking, what's the difference with your dynamic sketching class, whether online or in person? The obvious answer is, well, it's in person. So I get to see and interact with you a little bit more, which is great. For me, being an artist is teaching, but it's also learning. I learn a lot from the students. So you learn from me, but I equally learn from you how to become a better teacher, how to become a better artist, and better communicator. And I think as an artist, those are things that are super important to learn and to understand, is how to balance those things out. Because you can be a great artist, but if you're not able to communicate your ideas verbally, then you're kind of you're digging that hole for yourself. Now online, I love teaching online because I get to interact with people all over the world, which is, unless I was some big baller and I could travel to different countries to teach and stuff, which hopefully I get to do one day, that would be awesome. I've done it a couple times, But I know there's some people who are geographically isolated, like in the middle of nowhere with just the internet, which is great. So for people in those circumstances, I think online training is super cool, and that's why I do like CGMA, because we have a really good system intact in regards to the video lectures that you get and the feedback that you receive, the Q&As, and thank goodness you do get to interact with me when we're doing these live Q&As. Of course, time, in regards to time differences, can be an issue with international students, but at least you are getting that interaction outside of your bubble with other people who like to do what you do. And I think as an artist, that's one of the main things that's hard to do sometimes, is finding that group, finding that niche, or your circle, your inner circle of art friends that you can bounce ideas off of, that you could go to museum trips and you could stay at one exhibit for hours and no one says anything because you're all doing the same thing. I remember when I would do museum trips with other friends who were not artists, and I would be kicking back, sketching, they would be through the whole museum and done, and I would still be at the first exhibit trying to just like study stuff, and then they'd be like, hey man, hurry up, we want to eat. I'm like, man, really? This is just so cool. It's like, how often do you get to see samurai? Ah. So I definitely understand those frustrations, and that's why it is important to find like your little community of people. It totally makes learning. It makes that artistic journey of being an artist more enjoyable, which I think a lot of people lose sight of nowadays.
Yeah.
So I like drawing robots a lot. I never did like drawing robots before, but now it's just a lot of fun. These are pretty stiff and uptight. I'm just kind of loosening up right now. And that's usually what I tend to do, is usually in my sketchbook, I will loosen up more and more. Digitally, it's a little bit fun, but I don't like to press Control-Z a lot even if I'm sketching digitally. Why that is, and this is something I talk about with my students over and over again, Control-Z is a blessing and is a devil in disguise. If you press Control-Z so much, like by the end of the day, you'll be like, oh, this is all crap, and then you Control-Z everything, and then you just see this. It's like a blank page. You get down on yourself. You start to say, I didn't do anything today. It's been like 3 hours, and this is what I have. Where I didn't press Control-Z and just like doodling with Jonathan or just hanging out, I was able to do like a few pages of sketches. Just like that. And I didn't, all I'm doing is maybe making a new layer or just reducing the size of some of these so I could sketch some more. But I think that's important because it's digital. You can erase it, you can delete it, but save a small JPEG of it. Do a quick little screenshot and just save it in a folder. Just sketches. Maybe there's a gem in the rough, a diamond in the rough in those sketches that you could later use for something else. You never know. But if you keep pressing Control-Z, I think it's, especially for those that love just using digital, it's a big crutch, and it can actually hinder your experiences and hinder your growth as an artist. Kind of all over the place right now, so hopefully this is all making sense.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've never heard of it put that way.
Yeah, it's just something that I found that a lot of people, including myself, I'm guilty of it all the time. Like, I would press Control-Z until my face turned blue, and then I'd be like, oh, I suck. I'm not as good as this guy. I didn't do anything today, and they're posting daily sketches. What the? Oh, like, dude, get over yourself. Just sketch. Don't delete. Just draw.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Any questions? I don't know. People are just kind of like waking up still. Daylight savings. Yay.
No questions yet. I'll let you know when they come in.
Okay. So really quick, how I got started. Now, I went to a 4-year academic college. It is known as the University of California, Irvine. Our mascot was the anteater, so that's how serious we were about our business. No, it was a very good school in regards to, I think what I got out of it was just how to communicate and how to interact and build networking, build foundations with people, which was very important. In regards to my artistic career, I did not learn a darn thing because I was called the studio art major. What exactly that mean? I asked myself the same question every day. Studio art, for me, it just felt too, it wasn't defined. And it, it came from a very academic approach to art where I believe they wanted everyone to be artists in galleries. And I'm not talking like salons or galleries of fine artists and illustrators. I'm talking the contemporary gallery of BS. That's what it felt like. A lot of people in my classes were very good talkers, but when you would look at their work, you'd be like, what is this? Now, each person has their own take on art, but for me, this wasn't anything that I could apply to actually drawing and painting, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to learn how to draw and paint and design, and they didn't give that to me. They gave me, yes, we are going to talk about our feelings and why you used a nail to hang your artwork and not a thumbtack. Like, really? Really, guys? I don't know about that. Now, that was back in early 2000. I don't know how the program is now. It could have changed. Hopefully it did. But for me, I didn't know what was available to me at that time. This was before the Facebook, and I'm dating myself. This is before Facebook. This is before all these fun tutorials and channels on YouTube where people are teaching you how to draw and use all your Photoshop presets and stuff. So you had to just learn from someone physically, or you had to be lucky to find someone in your class who knew more than the teacher, because that was almost always the case. That's how you learned. So I didn't learn anything, and then afterwards I actually ended up at a medical clinic collecting medical insurance, because as anyone who comes out of school with loans, I needed to pay them off. I needed to feed myself and survive. So I wasn't really doing art. I was just doing sketchbook stuff. I actually took classes at a community college, and it was not a fun period to be in because I wanted to do art, and I wasn't. I was just sketching in my sketchbook, and there was really no platform. There wasn't like an Instagram or a Tumblr at the time to showcase my work or get inspired by other people. So that kind of sucked. The main thing, though, throughout this whole thing, and that's the one thing that I will say, is regardless of the social outlets, the tools that you have, you always got to keep sketching. You always got to keep drawing, because that's never going to change. What makes you better is that continual dedication to your practice, and just keep doing it. That's the way you get better. People always ask me how you got good, or what classes you take, or if I'm doing something digital, everyone always asks me, dude, what are your brushes? Give them to me. And everyone hears it. And I remember asking those same questions, but it's not about that. What it's about is the amount of work you put into things. How many drawings you do day in and day out. Now, what does speed that along is, of course, having someone, having a mentor, having instructors to tell you if it's working, if it's not working, what you got to work on. That's where good instruction comes into play. Because if you have the work ethic, if you have the passion, that's step one. Step two is actually applying it and using it, for the greater good. It's almost like you're a Jedi. You know what the Force is. You know what it does. You just don't know how to use it well. So you're lifting jets and then dropping them, or you're trying to lift Yoda and drop him on his head, and he gets pissed at you and smacks you around like a flying frog on crack. But if you have that good tutelage, and then once Yoda reins you in, then you're like, oh, he is the last Jedi, and we're going to be awesome, and you're going to learn, and yay, and that's what's awesome. I will make a ton of Star Wars references, just to let you know. I'm not the ultimate Star Wars fan, but I love using it for teaching, just because it applies to life in so many ways. It's so fun. Speaking of which, I am excited to see the new movie that came out. Did you buy your tickets yet, John?
Oh, dude, no, but I'm going to.
I haven't yet either. If you haven't watched the trailer yet, this is the only plug I'll do for the movie. They're not paying me this. But if you haven't watched the trailer yet, you should watch it, because girls have their, for lack of a better term, chick flicks. And for me, the chick flick growing up for most of my friends was The Notebook. With Ryan Gosling, it's all sad, sad, sad. You watch this trailer, it's like the chick flick for guys. You're just like, oh my god, get a tear!
Oh, yeah.
Millennium Falcon, this is so great.
I'm guilty of that,
Yeah,
too.
if you haven't, see? You just watch it. You'll be happy. It's a good dude chick flick. But anyway, so after collecting medical insurance, okay, it was a downtime. I was very sad and upset. but I was lucky enough to run into a few instructors, and some of you might know who they are, Ron and Vanessa Lemon. They're really good friends of mine down here in San Diego. And I believe Ron is an instructor for CGMA right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they introduced me to the world of concept art. And one of my first books that I picked up that had concept art in them that got me even more inspired was the art of Star Wars. Was it Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Sith? One of those.
Yeah, they were great, man. They were like the best at the time.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
When those first came out, you were seeing like Feng's work, Doug Chang,
Mm-hmm.
Ian McKeag,
Yeah.
Dermot Power. Oh my God, those guys! It would just like it's like finding concept art for the very first time, or the equivalent feeling that I had was it was Christmas and you were 5 years old again and you unwrapped your first present ever. That's the feeling that I had. And it was just so awesome. And that got me like, this is what I want to do. I knew that I wanted to draw. I thought graphic designers drew, and that's why I wanted to do graphic design. But, dude, I want to be an illustrator. I want to be a designer. So this is the stuff that I want to get into. And that's pretty much what put me on my track to wanting to be an artist. So I think that's the one thing that's important is finding those inspirations. Now, what I'm saying is find your inspiration, not to say that I'm going to be this next artist. I'm going to copy their style and I want to do their style. You want to be inspired by an artist because it motivates you to be, I want to get that good. I want to have that type of voice. I want to be, to do art that has that type of emotion, that type of impact on someone. That's what I think of when I think of inspiration. And of course there are other artists whose styles that I admire and slowly incorporate into my own work, but it's not to say that I want to be just like them. And I think as a young artist, for any young artist listening, that could be a trap in regards to looking at all these concept art books or looking at all these art of books. They're great. They're fabulous. I own quite a few of them. But what can be the downfall of that is then you just see a certain select number of artists over and over again, and you feel that that's what the industry is looking for. You feel like you have to look like that person in order to get a job, where it's the total opposite. If you look at that person, why would someone want to hire you? We already have that person on staff. If you look exactly like them, we don't really need you.
Mm-hmm.
Be inspired. Know what's being currently done, but use it as more. These are going to be my peers. I want to be as good as my peers, and that's kind of what you want to look at these art books for, is to see the type of fun that they're doing. See how they're pushing things and trying to figure out how you can push your own design sensibilities and your own stories. I think that's what will help set you apart and get you hired in some of these companies that you've always looked up to as a kid. So yeah, those are just kind of some of my thoughts. I don't know where I'm going with this. I think I'm going in some type of chronological order, but I'm kind of jumping around. So hopefully everything makes sense.
Yeah, it has been so far. There are a few questions which you kind of answered just now, but if you'd like,
Damn it! Dang it! Stop.
it's all good. But we have Rachel Kim. She was actually a UCI student as well, and she's saying
Oh yeah,
it's still the same.
Okay, so yeah, Rachel, I think you were in my CGMA section class either last term or the term before. I forget. Sorry. But yeah, it's still the same. I figured.
But she's
I'm not trying to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no. Were you gonna say something else? I don't.
No, I was just gonna say, she's asking, how do you keep yourself motivated?
So, okay, I keep myself motivated. There's a couple things that help me. One is the need to make a living and to pay for things and to feed myself. That's a definite motivator, because if I'm not working, if I don't get gigs, then I can't pay my bills. So that, for me, after college, that was a big motivator and made me hustle. I hustled like there was no tomorrow. Before Craigslist was just about hooking up, I was on there left and right looking at posts. Before conceptart.org got a little bit dramatic, I'm not going to go into that, but before it got into all that mess, I was on there posting my work, responding to ads looking for artists. I was trying to hit up teachers, seeing if they needed help with anything or knew anybody. So I was constantly hustling, and I think that's one of the differences that I found between a successful artist and an artist that is not being seen, is that hunger, that need to hustle. a lot of times, for whatever reason it may be, a lot of students nowadays, and I don't mean to categorize and say, yeah, you young kid, da-da-da-da-da. People are tired of hearing that. But there is an attitude that you can see between artists that are making it and some artists that may not be making it. And what I'll say that main attitude is that sense of it's just going to come to me when it comes to me, or yeah, I'll just post some work online and people will see it and that'll be good enough. You have to stand out. You have to hustle, and you have to be out there, putting in the time. Are you going to conventions? Are you speaking to different artists? Are you taking the online classes and trying to build rapport with your instructors and with your fellow students? Those are things that I always try to do, not because I'm going to say, oh yeah, I'm going to be friends with this person and they're going to hire me later. No, I'm going to be friends with this person because this is a networking opportunity to build a relationship so that if later on down the line they are looking for someone, they know me. They know my personality. They know that I'm a hard worker. Then it'll work out. So part of it is building, a friendship. The other part of it is, yeah, you are thinking about the future. You are thinking about hopefully getting work. But the main thing is if you are just approaching an artist or talking to an artist and say, yeah, I'm looking to get hired right away and I saw you're an art director, boom. Right away you're just showing them that you're not really interested in them. You just want to get work. I think where that works or where that does work is if it is like a hiring or recruiting seminar. But if you're at conventions, and this is where I do most of my networking, just trying to find out about the artists, trying to see what they're working on and understanding their world. That's how I build my relationship, so they know that you're a genuine person. Then if later on down the line they think of people, that's when you're brought up. For me, as a teacher, I'm always on the lookout, to see how my students work in my class, to see how their work is, but also I try to get a feel for their attitudes. I've given a lot of my students opportunities. One of my latest students, she was really cool, down to earth. I said, hey, you want to work on this campaign with me because they're looking for someone. And they liked her, they picked her up, and when I was done with my work, they kept her on, and she was working on a Target ad that's going to be out coming, this November. It's a really big campaign. I was able to do a lot of the pre-production for it, and she stuck on for a lot of the production work, and it's a national, international campaign. So little things like that will happen, and they happen naturally. You just have to be aware that you can't just be standing by the side waiting for someone to give you it. You have to be active. You have to be proactive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way to stay motivated. The other way to stay motivated is I do a lot of conventions, and at these conventions, it makes me produce new artwork each time. So that's one thing that motivates me. And the other thing is I have partnerships. Partnerships with other people, other creatives. Like my partner Kevin, he really helps me when we do children's books. We both write it together. I illustrate it. We both art direct it. So that's my side passion. It doesn't pay the bills right now, but it's something that I want to do on my own. I want to do my kids' books so I can pass it on to my kids, or my kid. Sorry, my wife will get mad. We only want one kid. My kid, so that he can enjoy it. And he has something to go like, look, man, I grew up reading this with my pops, and this is what my pops did. That's cool. I want to leave that for my kid, like, a kid's book that I made for him. That's just one of those things that I want to do. So those are just ways I keep motivated. And so talking about kids' books, I'll probably draw some of the characters right now just for fun.
That's awesome, man. From Nikhil Aurora, they're asking, what teachers or mentors helped you the most along your journey?
Okay, and Nikhil, I think you're in my class right now, so thanks for hopping in. So there have been quite a few along the way. Definitely the first intro into concept art, one of my instructors was Ron and Vanessa, the artist duo couple. They were really cool. Other instructors at the Watts Atelier, like Eric Gist, he was a friend and mentor. But after Watts, where I started to really develop my concept side, one teacher was very helpful, and some of you know him, or have heard of him at least, Marshall Vandruff. I remember he was so cool. This was before I had a family, and I think before anyone was really busy with online stuff. I had all these questions because my artwork was just so stiff and uptight. I had all these questions, and he said, hey, you want to go to the museum with me, and we'll just hang out. So I asked my girlfriend, my wife, girlfriend at the time, do you want to go to this museum because this instructor said he's got time to hang out. We just got to pick him up. And she was game. She's like, yeah, let's go. So we went to the Getty, and at the Getty, it was mainly just kind of hanging out with with a cool dude. But then as we were sketching, he could see the frustration in my work, and he would just say, so well, what's going on with you? And I told him, I just don't feel it. I'm not feeling my drawings. And I showed him my sketchbook, and he just basically said, you know what? Your drawings are nice, but there's no life to them. They're stiff and they're uptight. So the thing that he told me to do was, maybe for this next section, what you should do is just don't even make it look representational. Just start sketching people, by just simple line weights, just gestural. So this is the stuff I would actually do. I would just look at people and I would just basically just do really loose sketches like, there's a big dude standing there. This is how he felt like. There's a little kid running around with pigtails. And this is what she felt like. There's a really tall security guard looming over people. And this is what she felt like. So he didn't tell me shapes to use. He didn't tell me how to draw. He just said, you got to loosen up and just get gestural stuff in there. So this is the stuff that I drew. And in my sketchbook, I started drawing like this for a while. And then later what this turned into, it turned into just kind of going in with a little bit more detail. But what it was is I was having fun again. Art was fun again. And it's something that I lost around my academic journey, or along I had to learn, perspective, anatomy, core shadow, figure drawing. I got so caught up in all that analytical stuff that I forgot that I got to draw in my sketchbook. I got to have a little bit of fun. Once you remember that, it is a balancing act, but that's what your sketchbook's for. Have fun with it. Just sketch. So I was starting to go into there, because what I was first doing before I did this stuff, I was doing this. Okay, here's the head. Here's the thirds. There's the ear. There's the neck. Here's the body, torso. That's how I would draw. Because all I learned was the academic way to draw figures, and that's how I would sketch everything. Now, for all of you that have done figure drawing before and tried to draw from your imagination, what happens when you draw from your imagination and you just stick to this academic formula is all your characters look the same. Basically, it's like the Dragon Ball Z effect. All the characters look the same. I'm not hating on Dragon Ball Z, but they all do look the same. It's a great storyline, but they all look the same, just different hair. That's all I'm saying. All right? I'm not hating. So don't freak out, Dragon Ball Z fans. But I was drawing the same character over and over again, so once I started loosening up, that's when I started having fun with shapes. That's why I just started having fun with characters and just creating just feelings and emotions that I could expand on. Like the girl looking for her little sister who just ran off at the Getty, like, where the hell are you? Mom and Dad are going to kill me. Or the really stern woman who's staring at me because I've been at this one exhibit and she thinks I'm going to steal something, so she's just looking at me like, are you going to move on? Are you going to move on? Because this is just, you're just here way too long. I don't know what you're going to do. That doesn't understand what I'm doing. So those are things that I push. That's where I started getting more and more into my storytelling and just loosening up and having fun. So Marshall was very instrumental in starting me on that path. And once I was on that path, man, I've run into so many great teachers and instructors. Carlo Ariano, Kevin Chen, especially. Kevin Chen, he helped to solidify my gaps. That guy's like, he's like the dog whisperer for character designers. It's like you don't get something, and he'll just be like, just do this. You're like, oh my God, it makes sense. Genius. And then Carlo, that guy, he'll just start talking, and all of a sudden you'll end up with a design. And he's got this calm voice the whole time. He's Filipino, so he's like the Filipino Bob Ross. He's like, yeah, I'm just gonna do some characters, and it's gonna be cool, and we're gonna have fun. And then at the end, it's gonna be this awesome mech, and you're gonna wonder how I did that. But you know what? If you weren't watching, then you didn't see. If you didn't see, that's not my problem. It's yours. Don't tell him I impersonated him. He can seriously kick my butt because he's buff, and he's cool, but you don't mess with him. But I'm cool with him. He's one of my teachers and instructors. So, and right now I am drawing Carlo as a mech. This is Carlo. It was just like this one eye raise, like, really? You get this? You get this? All right, we're gonna move on then. he's got this cool, like, calm voice, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, if you don't do it, then you know what? You're just gonna suck. And that's just horrible. He doesn't say that, but I'm just saying he's got this cool voice where he can deliver like that. And you're like, damn, that was cold, but I needed that. So yeah, and John knows Carlo, so hopefully he'll let me know if I'm on or off. And
He is
that's
spot on.
accurate.
I don't want to say anything too because I don't want to get beat up either.
Yeah, see, he won't beat you up. He's a cool guy. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
He's the lead designer, art director for Vainglory. So if any of you know Vainglory, that's the man. That's the guy who's like, yes, this is him. DG, Vainglory, yay. Okay. We're going all over the place with this presentation, so yes, hopefully it's working out for people. But yeah, Carlo was instrumental. Kevin was instrumental. Peter was another one of the teachers that introduced me dynamic sketching, and that's one of those classes that I just ran with. And there are a lot more people that just workshops and just talking. You know, they're my fellow peers. I just learned from a lot, and we just were able to talk about art and other things that aren't. And I think that's what's important. A fellow instructor at CGMA, my buddy Zoo, I knew him even before we were both instructors, before we were both artists, concept artists that is. We were both taking classes down in San Diego, and we've been friends for 10 years now. And it's cool seeing how both of us, our paths in art have changed. And I'll draw Zoo real quick just because I can, and he can't see me doing this. Unless he watches this later on YouTube, then he'll get really, really pissed at me. But he ties his hair back in a ponytail now. So he's got that ponytail.
We just interviewed.
Have you met Zoo before?
Yeah, we just interviewed him.
Zoo.
Yeah.
So he always wears like a short shirt with some type of logo on it, either Sriracha. For some reason, me and Zoo always end up wearing matching shirts. It's hilarious. We like wore Sriracha shirts one day, and same color shorts and everything, so we look like twins. So there's like Zoo as a little kid, but that's Zoo. And then he'll have his like little man pack back also.
Yeah, he could pass for your older brother.
But we're Asian, so it's good. We age very gracefully. So
Exactly.
Yeah, it's my buddy Zoo. But yeah, I mean, we talk about art, yes, but I think part of being an artist is also not talking about art and being able to kind of like shoot the breeze about other stuff. It's very important as an artist to do those types of things. Any other questions? I'm kind of just babbling, and it's already like 35 minutes in.
Yeah. I mean, no, this is great, man. No questions so far, but I have a question actually.
Yeah, sure.
When you're doing these, you were talking about how at first it was very stiff for you because you were, trying to get it right and make sure everything, because you were learning still. What would you say is the thing that helped you the most to be able to just let go and transition to, I guess, focusing on story, like you're saying, and just being able to bust out these characters without...
that's a great question. It happened when I stopped chasing style. All right? So a lot of us are always chasing my look. What is that look that I'm going to do? What is that, what's going to make me stand out? Oh, man, I like what that artist is doing this week. Or, I mean, John Park is another great mentor and teacher. It's like, dude, he like releases a new style like every week. And you're like, dang, I want to be like John Park. I want to draw just like him. The thing is you get caught up with a look that's all you're doing. You're just copying a look, but you're not developing your own voice. You're not developing what it is that you want to do. And I think if you're able to get over that, at least even, 50%, get over that at least 50% of the way, then you get out of your head that it has to look cool, and you just really just try to figure out, how can I deliver this message? How can I deliver what it is I'm trying to say in a clear but fun way? And that's when style starts to happen naturally, is certain styles will dictate certain feelings and dictate like how you should pull a line or draw something. For me, my style is definitely developed by a lot of artists that I look at, Calvin and Hobbes, even a little bit of contemporaries like John Park or Craig Mullins. But if you look at my work, you don't necessarily see all that. You don't say, oh, dude, Patrick, that's totally like that's a Calvin Hobbes Batman. It's like, really? I have no idea where you got that from. I mean, what the hell? Or, man, that's such a Kevin Chen drawing. I'm like, no, it's not. Kevin's like, he would run circles around me. He would do this in his sleep, like not even trying with his big toe. But once you get over that idea that, oh, I have to find this unique look, then it's just about the content that you're delivering. And that's where you'll start to develop a healthy style, is through your content and storytelling. I think that's what's more important. And I don't know where Fat Batman came from. He's just doing a T-pose. I might change him later. But that was the hardest thing for me to figure out. And for story-wise, a lot of people get confused with what story is. They think like, oh, I have to come up with this brand new story. No, story could just be someone just hanging out, and you're just drawing them hanging out. Story could be, I'm going to do, a really snobby Superman, because he always feels snobby when saving people. So I want to draw a snobby Superman. Now, how is that going to feel? How do I want to interpret it? And this is where maybe I'll think of shapes that other artists have used and implement them, but it's not to the point where I look exactly like that artist. I have studied them to the point where I don't think about them anymore, and it just happens naturally. So whatever artist I'm kind of channeling right now, I don't know. It's probably a few artists. It's a few shapes. Honestly, the biggest shape here is this shape, and my influence for that was Muppets. That's basically Beaker, and that's my influence for that. Everything else is maybe from a comic book artist that I picked up, but that's the thing. I have such a wide, eclectic reference library of artists in my head that I'm choosing from different ones left and right all the time, and you'll never know which one I'm choosing from. And I think that's when style comes into play, is when you do have that reference library built up, and you start doing that picking and choosing.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's an awesome way to put it. We have one question from Guillermo Nunes.
Okay. How's it going?
Right now, I'll just read it out. I have a question.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm at a spot where I've been developing my drawing skills. I've improved, and I'm still on it. However, I'm almost finished with high school, and I have to do a portfolio. I've never finished anything original, even though I want to be a concept artist / illustrator. So how do I take the next step? How do I finish something / make a portfolio when I feel like I'm not skilled enough?
So okay, I'll take a step back, and if you're creating a portfolio to get a job versus creating a portfolio to get into an art school, there are kind of two different mentalities. Art school, they are looking for that potential. They are looking for, what are you going to bring to the table? Are you serious? What do you have built up? How are we going to train you? For working at a professional level, basically that's when you just look at other artists like myself or even Jonathan's work or whoever, and that's when you have to say, dude, is my portfolio up to par with these guys, because that's my competition. So there are kind of different levels of competition. One is a little bit more lax in regards to art school. You're going into that to better your skills. The other, if it's for a job, you have to understand that high competition, you have to have a high caliber of work. So right there, that's kind of what I would differentiate between those two. Now, if you're building your skill, and it sounds like you are realizing that you need to build your skill, then that's when I would probably look into schools or look into where I can get more foundational training, more training in regards to concepting. That's what's going to be very critical for you, because you're in high school right now, and you're already a step ahead of a lot of people, especially me. I started late, so that's great. But then you also have a lot of competition with other people who know what these places are and who are in high school and are already doing this stuff. So I'm not saying that to deter you, but I'm just saying that just to, though that's the reality of things nowadays, is there are people who are already entrenched in this stuff that are already doing this. For you, again, that skill level, that building, that getting the tools to create content, I think that's probably where you're at right now, and that may be why you're not finishing stuff off, is just because maybe you don't have the right tools to take something to a finish. Now, what I will say is whatever skill level you're at right now, you're never going to know what type of finish you can do until you actually do it. what happens is, as artists, a lot of time we're like, oh, that's not good enough, I'm going to change it. Oh, that's not good enough, I'm going to keep changing it. And you keep changing something over the span of like 3 months or something. And you can't do that. You have to just commit to something, finish it, put it to the side, and keep building your portfolio that way. What that's going to help you to do is it's going to help you to finish something off, show it to somebody, show it to an artist, get an honest feedback critique on it, and then you know what to improve upon. Your portfolio is never going to be perfect, and if you never show anyone it, you're never going to improve. You're always going to be stuck because you are running into the same problems. You are running into the same mistakes over and over again. My big thing is, as a teacher, is I encourage you to make mistakes, but you have to allow the mistakes to happen. If you don't allow those mistakes to happen, you're not going to learn, and you're going to get stuck in the same place over and over again. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so Guillermo, I speak from experience. I've been there myself. The only way I got over a portfolio is I actually did it. And creating a portfolio, I consider a portfolio like a bulletproof vest. I wear it, it gets shot up, it protects me a little bit, but I'm bruised like hell. So the thing is I have to go back to the drawing board, get a new bulletproof vest, and go back out there, and hopefully next time I won't get, shot up as much. Don't mean to be violent or anything, but that's kind of how I think of a portfolio is you're always going to get knocked around, but it's good. You have to get knocked around, and that's the only way you're going to improve, and that's the only way you're going to know, like, are you ready, or how can you better yourself to be ready in the industry?
Question from Rachel. What do you think about art classes in community college? Are they worth it?
I think they're worth it if there is a good instructor. I've been to community college classes where it was just horrible, and everyone was in there just, there wasn't really any competition or healthy competition in regards to, people are just there, most of them are hobbyists. And that's fine and all, but sometimes the level, and especially the level of students, can affect how the teacher pushes you. So if the students are all kind of just cruising along, then the teacher might just cruise along. But I've been in community college classes where the teacher, comes from a really regimental background and totally pushes the students. So I'd say for a community college, you try to do your homework, try to find out about the instructor, see their work, definitely see their work, and email them questions. Because as an instructor, people ask me questions about my class, that means they're genuinely interested and they do want to take it. And you're just doing your homework. It's nothing in offense, and anyone that takes it as offensive, then they have some insecurities, I guess. But I think there are so many different avenues of classes and schools that you have a lot at your disposal. For me, I still do like taking something physically in person. It's just do your research. Be proactive in your learning, and make sure that it's something that you're going to benefit from and not just a waste of time and money. So yeah, I'm not saying they're good or bad. They can be good or bad.
That's good. I have another question.
Yeah,
when you mentioned, you were doing kids' books, and you were art directing yourself, do you have any tips and advice on going about art directing yourself? Like when because everyone has their own blind spots. How do you go about art directing yourself, essentially?
Yeah, that's a tough one, just because you get so caught up in the routine, and that when you're like, oh yeah, this is perfect, I don't want to change it, I'm tired, and it's just like, okay, it's done. You have to be able to step outside the box. Like, there are concepts that I do that I work on all the time, and I'm looking right now to see if I have any, that the first time around I'll knock it out and say, yeah, that's fun, that's cool. But then you have to be able to step outside and say, okay, is that the best you could do? Is that the best storytelling that you can do? So I'm going to bring up, this is something I haven't showed anyone yet, so if it goes on YouTube, cool, seeing it there for the first time.
Oh, nice.
I do a series of illustrations called 25-Cent Wonders, and it's my homage to things that I grew up with. So this one I haven't I'll probably now release it on social media since I'm showing it to everyone here. So this one that I did, okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
This one is called You Cannot Touch. If you've watched Transformers the movie, you know what I'm referencing to. So this is the first one that I came up with. It's basically, the three Autobots fighting over the Matrix of Power. And I knocked this out, and I was like, yeah, cool. I'm totally going to finish it. You can see it's not done yet. It's halfway done. Why I didn't finish it is I stopped, and I looked at it, and I said, you know what? This isn't the right mood. Why it's not the right mood is I wanted it to feel like Optimus is playing keep away, but Optimus feels like a total jerk here. He feels like he's like, I'm stepping on you, and Rodimus Prime, to heck with you. I'm taking everything, and this is mine. And that's not what I wanted. It almost was getting a little too violent because it's like he's stepping on Ultra Magnus's neck. And I was like, oh, dude, this is like 80% done. I spent a day on this, and I was like, nope, that's not it. So I totally scratched it. After a day's full of work, I scratched it and said, that's not what I want to say. That's not the story. That's not my voice. So art directing myself, I had to make the painful choice to say, I got to redo it. And I did. I spent a whole another day and a half redoing it. And let me get the final one. That's the final one. So you see how it feels totally different. This one's a lot more playful. Even the colors are a little bit lighter. And here, Optimus is actually going, mine, all mine. You can't have it.
Right.
And then I was able, coming back to it, I was able to say, you know what? This is missing the playfulness that I had in my work. This is missing the playfulness of the 25-cent wonders. How do I make it more playful? So as an art director, that's when I came back and said, okay, well, one, I need to lighten up my contrast. Two, I need to play it up more. Like maybe, Ultra Magnus is in there, but he's, as a doll falling apart. Like in the movie, he's taken apart or blown up by Galvatron and everyone. And I want to put a Sharkticon in there because, of course, Grimlock was fighting Sharkticons, and Sharkticons are just cool to draw, man. If you don't know anything what I'm talking about and totally lost, just watch Transformers the movie. The animation wasn't that great, but the artwork in general is like, oh my god!
Yeah, artwork is great.
Artwork's great, and it'll put everything in reference. So for me, this was more playful. So I'll put them side by side so you guys can see the difference between the two. And there is a big difference. For me, there was a big difference between the two. And that's where you totally have to be brutally honest with yourself and say, is this going to fly? Is this what I want to do? Is this the statement that I want to put forth out there? And see, again, you can see between the two, value-wise and just fun.
Right.
Okay, which one seems more fun? For me, this one, it feels more fun because if I'm going to speak technically, compositionally-wise, I have a lot more negative space. There's a better silhouette going around Optimus, Rodimus, and a greater use of negative space in these areas. This one, it's a lot more closed off, so composition-wise, it gets very busy. Even though I have almost like this circle going on here, here it's more open because it's a subtle S-curve. So if you see, start with the Matrix, it goes through here all the way down to Ultra Magnus. So there's a better flow, so you go through the whole drawing and enjoy it. And these are things I think about. I don't just like to make pretty drawings. I like to make drawings with things that you don't see. It's almost like a great movie. You don't notice the camera angle changes. You just see, oh my god, that was such a great car chase. You don't go, oh my god, you see that crane shot? Oh, you see that worm's eye view? Then did you see the car flipping over the girl? Yeah, that was all cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to break down my art that way. I want them to appreciate the whole picture, but understand that there's still craft going on behind this, that there's still a lot of thought that needs to go behind your work. If you just do pretty pictures, that's all they're going to be, pretty pictures, and then people forget about it. But if you take time and you craft it and you hold yourself accountable and you art direct yourself, I think you'll create longer-lasting imagery that leaves an impression. And that's the key word there, leaves an impression, makes them think about stuff, makes them create an emotional response to your drawing. And that's what I search for with my work.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, man. Thank you for your insight.
No problem. Don't save. There we go. So yeah. That's basically how I art direct myself. And 25-cent wonders, that's kind of the thing that I do. I like taking pop culture things and putting them in scenarios. There are a lot of artists that do great work out there. There are a lot of artists that do, the kid-natured themed artwork that I do. But what I take pride on giving the viewers is always a unique story, always something more than face value. Because you have to treat your audience as a sophisticated audience. They're looking for something different. They're looking for something that really makes them, attached to your work. And although a lot of pop culture stuff is already, there's innate built-in feelings because people grow up with that stuff, how you stand out from others is basically how you deliver that message. What is your message? My message is, it's okay to be a big kid. That's my big message. Have fun. If I make you giggle, if I make you chuckle with those wonders, with my kids' books, then I'm doing my job. If I don't get those chuckles, or if people go, oh, okay, that's cool, and they walk away, then you know what? Something's missing. I got to rework that. I got to do something a little bit differently. So that's kind of how I gauge my work and try to improve upon it each and every time.
Man, yeah, that's great.
I'm just drawing random beasties right now. What I'm doing here, just random creatures. Yay. But yeah, if any of you, I'm not trying to do a shameless plug here, but if any of you are in California or coming to California in the month of November, drop by DesignerCon. It's one of those things where I definitely recommend people going out to see different things. DesignerCon is held in Pasadena, and there's so many cool artists out there, not just doing 2D art, but 3D art, sculptures, toys, vinyls. And I just love walking these halls of some of these conventions because you see so many unique ideas, and it inspires you. Not to steal them, of course, but to just go, man, they're doing something really cool. That just gives me ideas of other things that I could do. And as an artist, I think it's very important to get out there. And I was talking with Jonathan about this earlier, and he mentioned it too, that you got to get out of your bubble. You have to venture out there, go to museums, go to conventions, talk to artists if you can, build a rapport. That's kind of how you make connections, and that's how I've gotten a lot of my jobs, is just from people that I've met at conventions, people that I've talked to, or artists that I've talked to. I know in Burbank, CTN is coming up. The Animation Expo is coming up. Mm-hmm. So that's another great place to meet people and just talk and network as well. So these places are out there, especially if you are looking for them. They're out there. It's just you getting your butt to go to them if you're local, or if you want to make that commitment, flying out, with a portfolio and a bunch of business cards ready just to network and talk to different people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 5 more minutes. Any other burning questions?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have 5 more minutes. So if any last questions, please feel free.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, just please ask away. I'm here to help you guys out, and that's basically how I run my dynamic sketching classes. And what I tell my students is, I'm going to teach you stuff. I'm going to talk about stuff, but a lot of the content is dictated by you being a proactive student, you asking questions, talking. Because if you're just kind of sitting there in silence, and I'm not saying everyone has to ask a question right now. This is something that you could use down the road. What I am referencing is that as a student, don't just expect to absorb everything your teacher is saying, and it's just going to happen magically because you're taking the class. And you just have to think about, okay, what do I need help with? What am I having struggles with? What from today's lecture made sense? Okay, that's cool. I'm going to run with that. And then if someone asks you in like a Q&A, or if you're physically there in person at school and they ask you, okay, what's going on? How can we help you? And you don't say anything, then they've asked you. I don't know why I'm drawing a turtle. I'm just drawing a turtle. It's going to turn into something later, I think. But it kind of holds true with, I try to stay healthy, and I try to go to the gym, and every time I go work out, the instructor will ask me, okay, what does your body need right now? What do you need work on? And if I don't say anything, then they'll just do whatever. And then afterwards I'm like, dang, I really needed to stretch out my, my legs because I'm always sitting all day. That's my bad. I didn't tell them anything. So I take a lot from being a proactive teacher and student and try to apply it to different aspects of my life, because it all kind of corresponds. It all ties in. Like, be proactive with your learning. Be proactive with your career, with anything that you do. I'm not saying be pushy and demand things, but there is a way to ask questions. There is a way that you develop a relationship. Um, there are some people, unfortunately, that don't know how to deliver their message, and they come off kind of abrasive, kind of too rough, and that's unfortunate. I try to give people a second chance, or let them know that, hey, take a step back. I'm going to help you, but I'll get to you. So it's always one of those things where it is a give and take. The teacher gives, the student takes, the student gives, the teacher takes, and you just have to remember it's a relationship. It's not all one-sided. So if you're cooperating, if you're working with your teacher, if both of you have an understanding, and it's almost like a mutual relationship, then your class, your mentorship, whatever it may be, is going to go a heck of a lot smoother. But if that camaraderie isn't there, if that willing to work with one another isn't there, then that's when things fall apart. And that's when people get disgruntled or people have a bad experience with a teacher or with a student, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it just comes down to communication and just being open with those things.
So we'll probably have our last question from Rachel. She's asking, is there any networking don'ts we should avoid?
All right, the big one, have a nice handshake. I'm so serious. Don't give me the wet fish, and don't try to crush my hand like you're the Hulk. A good handshake says a lot about a person, so have a decent handshake. Be professional. What does that mean? It means so many different things. If you're asking someone for a critique, just say, hey, I'm an aspiring character designer. I'd love a couple minutes of your time if you have time to spare. With that being said, if you can, support the artists that you're taking time to talk to. Because the artists, if they're at a convention, they're there trying to make money. And I'm not saying you have to buy everything from everyone, but if this is an artist you generally respect and like and stuff, then it's kind of like giving back to them because they are going to give a lot to you in return. It's not a bribe. It's just returning the favor, I'd say, or just supporting one another. That's the big thing. The other thing is if you have a portfolio, make sure you're ready with that portfolio. Like don't be, oh, wait, hold on, one sec. Oh, wait, it's in my email. Let me get my email. Be ready. Be Johnny on the spot. You got it ready. You're ready to roll. And the other thing is just be nice and act normal. It's one of those things where, what do you mean act normal? Don't freak out. Be calm. And don't just kind of like stare at me kind of creepily. It sounds silly, but a lot of people really don't know how to interact with someone. They don't know just how to kind of have a chat or just shoot the breeze and then just go in a portfolio. Some people just get kind of freaked out, and I know that's natural. People get a little apprehensive. Artists, we're generally introverts. We don't work with other people. So when we have to converse with others, that's when you get the freak out moment. But I'll tell you this much, if you're calm, and if I'm talking to 5 people, and there's one person who stands out, that one person is usually the one that approaches me, is able to chat with me, has great work, but also, knows to say, hey, here's my card. I'd love to be able to follow up with you later on down the line. And that's cool with me, The thing I also say is networking happens over a series of events. You don't just network right away, meet someone the first time and say, okay, cool, I'm going to get a job from them. No, it's building relationships. You got to understand it happens over time. It happens over several conventions, things like that. I remember really quick before I have to go, Armand Serrano. He is a badass, a beast, super nice guy. I met him at my first convention, started talking to him, and he was super cool. I didn't ask for him for a job. I just asked for an honest critique of my portfolio. And then after that, I would be Facebook friends, just leave comments. I would see him at conventions. And it's gotten to a point where it's more cool. It's just like, hey, how's it going? Here's my kid. Nice to meet your family, things like that. I don't go on picnics or anything with him, but I have a really nice rapport with him so that it's more natural, and I could just approach him and just ask him things, even ask him just general questions, and things flow fine. And I think that's the biggest thing for networking to do is to create that genuine rapport with someone so it doesn't feel forced. So yeah.
Sounds good. Do you have a little bit more time, or do you gotta go?
I got a couple more minutes.
Okay, cool.
I just drew a turtle and a ninja because I was thinking Ninja Turtles, but I said
All right, we have one One final question from Franklin Vantini.
Okay, Franklin, hello.
He says, I'll read the whole thing. Hello, Patrick and CGMA staff. Thank you for being for the webinar. See your doodling character and machinery's perspective freely. Just amazing. I always start trying to sketch with this freedom, but my mind always overcomplicates things, so I'm always biting myself thinking about the perspective isn't right and the whole illustration is not working, and I stop everything. Is there any tips to overcome these thinkings? Greetings from Brazil. Oh, from Brazil. Oi, tudo bem? But yeah.
See? You gotta speak your Brazil now. You gotta go Portuguese on him, man. Talking to fellow Brazil. You should just translate everything in Portuguese right now. Just for this fun.
Oh my god, yeah, my head.
Okay.
I could do that.
And then concept design, and then concept design. Man, that's not Portuguese. Shitty. Okay, I'm sorry, Franklin. So, right now, I am drawing in somewhat semi-perspective. Here's the thing about perspective. You have to learn it so you understand how to break it. Now, a lot of times, and this is what we teach in dynamic sketching, is creating believable perspective. I'm freehanding all this, so somewhere around there, yeah, that's going to receive, that's going to receive. If I actually drew vanishing points down there and there, they probably wouldn't connect for a while, but I'm creating the illusion that it is. The thing that why I don't do this, like I don't do this, I don't map everything out, I don't build everything out like that. Why I don't do that is because everything's going to end up stiff and uptight, and I'm not going to get that loose, fun drawing that I'm looking for. I'm not going to get that ideation that I'm searching for, which is what I'm doing right here. What I'm doing right here is I'm keeping it loose, and my understanding of perspective is good enough where I can freehand this stuff. But my comfort level with machinery, my studying of reference, drawing these things on site, that's giving me the advantage over you because I'm not thinking about that stuff anymore. I'm just drawing. So what the issues are, one is just you're being comfortable with perspective and understanding where to break the rules and getting too uptight. But the main thing is your understanding of mechanics and just if you draw these things from life or just from photos. Dynamic sketching is so important because we do draw these things from life, and that gives you such an advantage over someone who just draws from photos because you understand weight, you understand gravity, you understand proportion and size. So as I'm drawing these things, these are from shapes that I've seen here and there. Others are shapes that I'm making up and combining with things. But I have a library in my head that I'm referencing this stuff from, and it's giving me the ability to seem like I'm just not thinking about this stuff while I'm drawing. And I'm not thinking about this. I am just drawing free-handedly, but what you don't see are the hours of work I put into sketching. You don't see the 50 sketchbooks that I filled up over the years doing this type of stuff to build up my visual library. The teacher I mentioned before, Caller Ariano, and even if you guys are familiar with the Korean machine, Kim Jung-ji, that dude, you just look at his stuff and you go, man, I really hate you. Like, I seriously hate you. How are you this good? And you know why he's that good? Because the dude draws. Like, I think I read an article or someone broke down how he comes up with concepts, and he basically does dynamic sketching. He will do studies of something for about an hour, and then he goes and uses those shapes and those reference for his epic paintings. Now, of course, there's some stuff there that you can't just get reference for. There's some like naughty stuff, which, yeah, well, you can't get reference for that, but yeah, it's out there. I'll just say that. And then there's just like random stuff, like he'll put a cat head on an octopus body, but make it work. And you're like, dude, what the hell? And that's where the artistic voice comes into play. But why he's so amazing is because it looks like he's just a machine, but it's not. He's drawn a lot of this stuff before, and he knows how to control it. He knows how to create these believable perspectives by just freehanding it. Because the thing is, when he's drawing, he'll see a box all the time, and he'll just draw that box in different positions to get the correct perspective. Now, the thing is, you don't see him drawing that box. What you see him drawing is, yeah, I'm just going to start with the shoulder and then get down to the hand, and then I'm going to draw this gun in exact detail, like an M16 or an M4. And then, yeah, I'm going to draw this guy wearing a helmet, but, oh, dude, it's going to be like a Black Hawk Down helmet with, like, night vision on top, and I'm going to detail that night vision. And then he's going to have, like, a vest and bag. But actually, no, there'll be, like, a lot of clip bags and his radio on the back, and then he'll just knock out a drawing, and then by the time you blink, it's like, dude, he even got the boots on the shoelaces. What the hell? And it's basically he's seeing this, but his mind is taking 3 steps and combining it, so now all you see is this. So it's not a magic trick, but it's more of what I choose to show you. And I'm not showing you my lay-in. I'm just showing you my lay-in, my detail, my secondary shapes, my rendering, all that in one shot. And that's kind of where that illusion of mechanics and just phenomenal type of just draftsmanship, okay? It just comes back to good drawing. Can you draw? And if you can draw, man, I think your sky is the limit. If you can draw, it makes your paintings 10 times better.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So yeah, the end. There you go.
Well, awesome, Patrick. Thank you so much, man. I learned a lot from
Yeah.
you today, and
Cool.
yeah.
Hopefully
Then
that helped everyone.
definitely, man. And thank you guys all for coming over on this Sunday after Halloween parties or whatever. Thank you guys
Yep.
so much, and until next time.
Yep. Let's go eat and drink. Yay. All right. Peace.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.